Voulez-vous un peu de thé, mademoiselle? Just kidding. Hello there, and welcome to Daniel's Infinite Playlist, and welcome to the classic album reviews section, which is basically where we just talk about albums that have been released in the past. And today we're going to talk about one of my absolute favorite artists of all time, and that is, of course, Mylène Farmer's second album, Ainsi soit. And for those of you who don't know who Mylène Farmer is, well, basically she's an icon in France and in other parts of the world as well. She has been made known because of her very forward texts that almost that challenge taboos in so many ways, and her very great production, and also her production assistant is called Laurent Boutonnat, who is also a filmmaker. And it's with this like the music videos and the music itself that she has made herself a name in France. I mean, even now when I talk about Mylène Farmer with some French people, they're just like, ah, that's gay music. But I'm just kind of like, what? Come on. I mean, she is a gay icon in France, but she's just more than that. So, how is it to listen to this album? Well, it's a bit like this. Alright, I'm going to show you the CD unboxing now. Here you see is the album cover. It's taken actually from the video for her song Sans Contrefaçon, and also the name Ainsi soit is also an allusion to what you say after you pray, or like, for example, like Amen. Translated to English, it's so be I. Anyways, I'm going to show you the inside. Here's the picture disc, and here you see, it's the signature of Mylène Farmer and also her producer Laurent Boutonnat. This is actually super expensive. I think I'm crazy that I actually bought this, but I'm just such a big fan of Mylène Farmer, so hey, I mean, come on. And here you see the booklet. It has the lyrics and, some images as well, I think, on the back here. Anyways, now back to the album review. So how is this album musically? Well, musically, this album is very synthy. It's very much a product of this time. It was released in 1988, after all, but what I really like about Mylène Farmer's sound is that it's very contrasting towards pop, but also towards very, very obscure sounds such as dark wave and cold wave even. The French were actually quite known for their cold wave sounds, and you can actually hear how like a lot of the musical influences that she had, for example the band Indochine, has actually made their way into this album. I haven't heard her debut album Centre de Lune, but apparently this album was recorded not very long after the release of Centre de Lune, because they wanted to capitalize on her, on her rapidly growing fame. And I think that's what people just drew to her in the first place, because of her very dark and very, very poppy productions, and I just really, really love it. And it's not it's both synthy, but it's also very, like orchestral as well. You can hear that there's a lot of cinematic work going on there, and that is because of Laurent Boutonnat. So how is this album lyrically? Well, lyrically, this album is, it's French from start to finish, but with Mylène Farmer's amazing delivery, you can actually hear, like some of the themes. However, I googled, like the translations of the lyrics as well, and there's, for example, themes of identity, genderqueer identity. There's a song that's called Sans Contrefaçon, which is one of her most known songs to date, and it's actually the only song from that era that she actually still keeps on singing. And then there are lyrics of schizophrenia, depression, suicide. You hear that the actual rawness of the, how do you say, of the themes are very apparent there, but what Mylène Farmer actually meant for this album to be is to be a collection of libertine poems, of poems, you know, touching upon the darkest edges of the human mind, but also on the desires, on the most rawest desires. There's a song. Oh my god, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but it's called Pour vous qu'elles soient douces. And that song is about sodomy. And you can actually, I mean, when you listen to these stuff, you actually feel that this is just very forward for its time. I don't know if France were more lax when it came to recording music that was like this. But I think that if this was released in the USA, I think that this would have been, you know, like shelved, or I don't know, like all of the suing that would have happened just because of this. That's why I'm so glad that Mylène Farmer has always, you know, kind of like pushed the envelope. Like, for example, she sang about, you know, the AIDS epidemic, and it's just so brave. And I think that's what this album is as well. It's a very brave album, and it doesn't only include lyrics from Mylène Farmer. It actually includes, like the first song, which is called L'Horloge. It includes a poem from Charles Baudelaire, and also the song Alain is about Edgar Allan Poe, which is one of the authors that has, how do you say, inspired Mylène Farmer like a lot. So yeah, what do I give this album? Well, I give it a 9 out of 10. It is a masterful album. I wouldn't say that this is Mylène Farmer's masterpiece, but it's certainly up there in her greatest albums. This album sold a lot of copies, and it actually cemented Mylène Farmer's name as a huge artist in France. And she actually made one of the most expensive videos in French history. I mean, back then. I mean, now they have done surely more expensive videos, but this album shows an artist with a fully realized and mature vision, and an artist that wouldn't compromise her sounds or her, you know, her lyrical themes, despite the rawness and the maturity of it. And that's what I really appreciate of it. And despite all of its darkness, there's some beautiful light in it as well, and it's very danceable, I have to say. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this review, and as always, I'm going to put the artist links down below. Mylène Farmer is available everywhere, iTunes, Spotify, you name it. You can even buy her physical albums everywhere as well, and I mean, except for the signed ones, you can actually get them for a very, very cheap price. So I recommend you to listen to them. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And as always, I'm going to be back next week with new album reviews every Wednesdays, and classic album reviews every Saturday. So yeah, that's it for me. Enjoy music, enjoy life, people. Hej då!